I mean, trust me, man.
Hello. It's Brian H. Rap B. Williams. I'm back. I am doing an impromptu broadcast to talk about the end of the week. This end of the week in NFL is Monday. Monday Night Football just went off. It was an interesting game to say the least. It was basically a head scratcher. When you look at these games and you look at what is supposed to be happening, we should not be looking at this. I know you can look at it and make excuses, but it's not as many preseason games. Is that the case? We have OTAs, voluntarily, mandatory, and things of that nature. You have 1,000,001 things that you do in the National Football League game to prepare yourself for last night. So I don't understand what a slow start is in a professional sport where people are making hundreds of millions of dollars. I just don't understand it. It calls to leadership for me. When you are looking at some of the greatest teams in the history of the sport, they did not have these slow starts. They came out like gangbusters. They bust people upside their head. You dealt with it at a later time, and then you walk around the bases, and then people got in order. At this point, it is high stakes. So why is it that we're still dealing with these slow stars while we're still dealing with all this information? If you want to hold these players' feet to the fire, like a Caleb Williams, like a Jaden Daniels, like a Bo Nix. Well, I don't know why anybody holds Bo Nix' feet to the fire because he's overrated, but that's neither here nor there. I want to ask a few questions. We're going to make some predictions for next week. We're going to talk about who's the worst run after 1 week, and you can pretty much tell what's going on. What's up, Big Chris? It's good to see you, my guy. What's up? Good look, man. Thanks for the support. We're going to, after watching the game tonight, we'll talk about the game tonight. We're going to talk about rookie quarterbacks. It's a weekend with some of the top picks in the league were rookie quarterbacks. Should those guys be starting? Is it fair to a person who's coming from, you want to tell me how fast the game is and how much it is to learn? Is it fair for a guy to play 2 seasons or 3 seasons in college football or even 1 season in college football and go to very fast to fast forward? The speed is lightning quick to very fast. It is a distinct difference. Is it fair to them? And then we're going to talk about how these coaches, which one of these coaches need to lose his job? Some of these people need to be unemployed. I don't care what you say. It's the first game, but you know what? Patterns, trends, and situations dictate what the hell we're going to do in the future. And these people are not putting out substantial numbers. And then I'm going to make predictions. We're going to do this week and football, and we're going to make predictions. You can hold my feet to the fire if you want to. You can't beat me. I don't care. Now, with that being said, after 1 week in the National Football League, who were the worst run teams in football? After just 1 week of football, you can pretty much tell who's horrible, who's not. Coaches make adjustments on the fly. You shouldn't be getting blown out week 1. That's kind of foolish. That is kind of foolish. The reason I call it foolish is this: we are looking at people who do football 7 days a week. Some of these dudes are working 60-hour weeks, and you're working a 60-hour week, and this is the best you can come up with. Now, there are certain exceptions. There are contenders. There are people in the middle, and there are people at the bottom, whether they're on the bottom at the rebuild or on the bottom on the come up. On the bottom on the rebuild, it's a team like potentially Denver. I don't like their coach. I think he's overrated. I think he's getting what he deserved. But you look at a team like the Raiders, they're on the come up. They had a ton of chaos around them, and guess what? That chaos around them is starting to dissipate, and it looks like Antonio Pierce potentially has the goods to do what they want to do. Of course, you have foolish Raider fans and foolish sports fans after one loss. Oh, man. And you could even say I'm doing that. But the Raiders have been in disarray for more than a decade. When you've been in disarray for more than a decade, you're looking at a situation to ask, is it you, is it me, or is it the situation? And that's what we're going to determine tonight. Is it the coach? Is it the team? Or is it the players? Now, when I look at the worst teams in football, I look at the Carolina Panthers. The reason I say Carolina Panthers is one of the worst teams in football, they consistently hire and fire coaches. They have new ownership, and things are in disarray. At one point, this was the crown jewel of expansion football draft. They 1 year in, they make it to the playoffs. 1 year in, they make it to the NFC Championship game. Season go by. The next year, you're in the NFC Championship game. Here we are. They drafted Cam Newton. They drafted Steve Smith. They drafted Tim Chi, Bianca Matuka. They've drafted Julius Peppers. They had Sam Mills. They've had a myriad of great ball players there. And since the exchange of ownership, this team has done nothing but toil and misery. This is one of the worst, if not the worst, football teams in the league. There's no way you got the guy out of the former Heisman Trophy winner. He was efficient. He was steady. He was rock steady. He was the guy that you went to. And now you trade with the Bears to get him, and you don't put any offensive linemen around him. You don't have any structure around him. There are not good players around him. And you have him on the field. This is asinine. I understand that you believe, you meaning the fans, believe that these guys are making a boatload of money. And when you get up and go to work every day, $15-20 million is an insane amount of money. What can I do with $15 million? I get it. But also you have to turn around and ask yourself, if you can afford to pay 53 people at a minimum $1 million a piece, what, $500,000 a piece, $300,000 a piece, all the way up to 15, 20, $30 million. How much money do you have? Understand how it works. Understand what you're looking at, and understand what you're dealing with at this point. These teams are piss poorly run. Don't tell me about a small market. A small market has nothing to do with your ability to scout, ability to develop, and ability to put a quality product on the field. Because when we are looking at what is a small market, the Green Bay Packers have been winning most of my life. I'm going to say it again. Before my life. First couple of Super Bowls ever, the Green Bay Packers won them. The Green Bay Packers won them. And in the 70s, they toiled in mediocrity, but they were not horrible. 80s, again, you got Brian Sipe, James Lofton, Tim Harris, so forth and so on. They were doing okay. 90s, they get Favre, they get Shannon Sharp, they got Sean Jones from the Oakland via Oakland via Houston, and so forth and so on. We can go through this. Leroy Butler, the whole crew. They have, since then, they have been consistently good, drafting people, putting people in play, paying coaches, paying players, developing players, putting players in position for them to be successful. So why is it that the Florida Panthers you cannot use? I live in a small market because I don't think it's a market smaller than Green Bay, Wisconsin. So you can't do that. That means you guys are not putting in the due diligence to make your team better. So this is the product you're forced to put on people. Sterling Sharp, another one. Shout out to Big Chris. That was a good one, Chris. Sterling Sharp was and should be a Hall of Famer, but right now, next up on the what the hell are y'all doing list? It's the New York Jets. The New York Jets are a horrible team. They are horribly run. They picked Aaron Rodgers. First of all, how do you plan to turn your situation around with a 40-year-old man in a young man's game? He's not a singer. He's not a dancer. He's a football player. Do you understand that every play in the history of your football career could end your life? Every play. So you go get a 40-year-old man. I don't care how well he has taken care. He could be a vegan. He could be a workout warrior. He can get 10 hours of sleep a day. He could eat nothing but organic fruits, vegetables, and things of that nature. And he's 40 years old. 40-year-old people are not designed to play football. I don't care what their protection is. The Jets have consistently drafted superb defensive people. But guess what? I'm watching the game tonight. And the offensive line is horrendous. The offensive line is horrendous. They have solid skill position players, receivers, running backs, tight ends. They have a piss poor line, and you wonder how you are expected to win. That's why later on in the program, when I talk about coaches that need to be terminated, that's why I'm going to talk about one of them, because their coach needs to be terminated. Salah is his name. I can't think his name is Robert Salah. Look, He'll be okay because guess what? He's a great position coach. Else he when he got this head coaching position, he'll get another position he needs to go on. But he's not a leader of men. He's not a constructor of offenses. He's not a constructor of defenses. He's not coordinate the entire team so they can win. So and this is a piss poor organization. Look, I'm 54. The Jets won the Super Bowl 2 years before I was born. It's 56 years. It's almost 60 years. And they've had Richard Todd. They've had Mark Gastineau. I can see Joe Klecko. I couldn't think of his name for a second. Joe Klecko, Freeman McNeil, and a few other stalwart players that have been there an extended period of time. Other than that, they've had about 3, maybe 8 years in the 56 years that I'm speaking of that they were solid. I'm not even saying world beaters. I'm not even saying they're predicted to win Super Bowl. They're predicted to win division. We're talking about 8 to 10 solid years out of almost 60. This is piss poor. Either you need to throw away the team, throw away the ownership, or just revamp the entire situation. Let me tell you how I know. They were run just like the Bears. I know people in the world like to romanticize the Bears, and there's going to be a whole lot of people from Chicago angry with me after that statement. But when you look at the Chicago Bears, they should be on my list as well, but they've done relatively well of late. So they're look, it's about 5 teams I picked. They are 4.8. They ain't even out of the top 5. They 4.8. But the Jets are piss poor. At least when I look at the Bears, I can look at many Hall of Famers just in my adolescence. Since my adolescence, we talk about since 10 years old, they've put quite a few people in the Hall of Fame. So I can at least say, hey, well, they've handled them, they've mishandled them, they didn't want to pay them, they've done a whole lot of horrible things, but at least they gave the people of Chicago hope. 99.9999% of the time was false hope, but it was still hope. With that being said, the next team on the list is the Broncos. They had a run with John Elway, the Walton family, the people who own Walmart. They purchased the team. The team has been going straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. They're going straight to hell. Look, Sean Payton ran away a Pro Bowl quarterback because he did not like his style. I don't need you to like my style. I don't need you to like me as an individual. I spoke about this when I did the pop-up show earlier. We need to get away from who you like, who your friends are, who you want to embrace, and things of that nature when we're talking about sports. It has been plenty of times when people right next to me on the field couldn't stand him, could punch him in his face at any moment. But once the whistle blows and you hit the grass, it's a different situation. It is a totally different situation. So what I want us to stop doing is thinking because the coach is supposed to like you. The coach's job is to coordinate the offense, defense, and special team coordinators and put them in a position so they can do the best that they can do, so he can tell them how to put the players in the best position so the team can advance. He had a guy by the name of Russell Wilson. A lot of people look at Russell as a goody two shoes, and I get it. He's a square guy, but you know what he is? He's an effective quarterback. Do you understand his teams around the league that should have been fighting at the back rack? Or they should have been fighting at the phone booth to get to Russell Wilson because he is better than average. He's injured now, I understand, but you didn't know he was going to pull a calf. He's dirt cheap at $3 or $4 million, and the other team and the Denver Broncos going to give him $33 million. This is how asinine Sean Payton is. He didn't like his style. He walked in the door and didn't like his style. And guess what? Ever since then, he had it out for Russell. People go, you got jackasses. And the reason I refer to Stephen A as a jackass is because look at this. He said he had a horrible year last year. He had a 90 rating. 75 is great. 90 is extremely good, but he had a 90 quarterback rating. He had 3,600 yards with 2 games to go. He had 26 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. The entire world assumes that our brother Russell Wilson was having a horrible year, but he was having a very good year. His numbers mirrored who? Super Bowl MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time league MVP, Patrick Mahomes. His numbers were not far off Patrick Mahomes. The difference is Patrick had a good coach. He did. Sean, you were running the Denver Broncos, who, again, speaking of teams who have been good the vast majority of my life, 70s, Super Bowl, 80s, Super Bowl, 90s, Super Bowl, end of the 90s, winning 2 Super Bowls, solid teams since then. And guess what, Sean Payton, you've taken over this and you're starting to run. You and the Walton family are running the Denver Broncos into the ground. And the worst run franchise at this point, as of today, is the New York Football Giants. They were on Hard Knocks. First of all, look at those damn uniforms, man. Those uniforms at the New York Giants. You know what? One of the things that I really liked about the New York Giants is the classic look. They look like a video game now. There is no way you ran that past anybody with eyes and they said, "Yeah, that's what I want you to look like." You love the Giants. You love the Giants. You love the Bears. You love the Pack. You love the Steelers. You love the Cowboys because that's what they look like. They look like the Steelers. They look like the Packers. Even the Raiders. Keep the classic look. The Browns. Keep the classic look. Somebody in their front office said, "We need to do this." No, enough with the color changing and the different schemes. You look like jackasses. This is not cool. No one wants to look at those teams. The New York Giants are a horribly run team. They put a whole lot of money into Danny Dimes, which is an utter waste of time. They let Saquon Barkley walk under this false pretense that the running back is a thing of the past. No, it's not. No, it is not. The running back is not a thing of the past. And the reason I say the Giants are the worst run football team in the league, they have diehard fans. They have 4 Super Bowl championships in the last 30 years. They had 6, I think they have 6 Super Bowl appearances in the last 30 years, which is awesome. But since the debacle of the retirement of Eli Manning, they have really wet the bed. They've had very few big-time signings. They've made some trades. Their defense is extremely solid. But for whatever reason, I saw it, and anybody who's watching football saw it. They sunk their teeth into Danny Jones. Everybody and their mother said the only reason he's doing well is Saquon Barkley. And the moment you got an opportunity, you let Saquon Barkley walk out the door, and guess what? I've seen this before with the Oakland Raiders. They were Los Angeles Raiders. Mark Wilson. When Bo Jackson played, Mark Wilson looked like Joe Montana. When Bo Jackson or Marcus Allen got hurt, Mark Wilson looked like Mark Wilson. Somebody you've never heard of and someone who shouldn't have been in the league at that point. Mark has never been a productive player. Neither has Danny Dimes. So he is not worth a dime. This leads me to another point in regards to this. The National Football League is putting on this facade that running backs are a dozen. We can get them from anywhere. Newsflash, people. You've been getting running backs from anywhere my entire life. The entire 54 years of the National Football League as we know it. There was a Pro Football League. It was the Pro Football Champion, but the National Football League with the American Conference, American Football Conference, and the National Football Conference. That's a National Football League that you know. Since the merger, there has been, get this, almost 60 years. Almost 60 years. And guess how many big time running backs or bell cow backs or franchise backs? See, a lot of people want to play with words. I mean, guys that you can get a ball to and they will seal the deal in regards to a victory. Guess what? Guess how many? You only have 32. That's almost one every other year drafted. Some of those guys, Curtis Martin, some of those guys have come in late rounds. They come from out of nowhere and they became bell cow backs. And guess what? It's only been 32 of them. So if it's only been 32 in almost 60 years, why would you put out this lie about the running backs are a dime a dozen? And if you're watching this weekend, which I was using my phone, I need to get a bigger screen or something. I'm old. But some of these guys, you can clearly see, as I stated earlier today, the people who are losing these leads, they're losing these leads simply because they cannot run the football. If the National Football League stop playing and stop being cheap and stop being misers and stop trying to finagle things into their advantage, they would pay people fair wages and wouldn't have to pay an inordinate amount of money. If I were a member of the Players Association, I would have a meeting with the players and say, hey, maybe the guys at the top shouldn't break the bank. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying take a haircut. I'm saying take a trim. If you can come to the table with the National Football League ownership groups and say, look, me and the guys in the league, we won't break the bank. Instead of, let's say, our brother Dak. Tell Dak, hey man, take 54 million or take 52 or $48 million. And the only way I'll take it is if you sign other players with guaranteed money. See, that's how you negotiate this. That's how you get better health care. There's no way you play in the National Football League 8, 9, 10 years and your health care benefits by the time you are eligible to be in the Hall of Fame, which is 5 years later, which is usually around the time your body is going to start breaking down. That's when your insurance expires. You need to renegotiate that deal so you can have lifetime insurance or insurance into perpetuity. You and your wife should have coverage for your entire existence. The reason you need that is because you were in a series of 20-mile-per-hour car wrecks, and now they want you to snap up out of it and just go get another job. Or no, you can't. No one is going to do that. But you should be fighting for guaranteed money, and you need to be fighting for lifetime insurance and not break the bank. At that point, it becomes it becomes a handoff. But that's neither here nor there. Now that we've covered the worst teams and some of the ways to fix the National Football League, let's talk about some of these coaches that need to be fired. One of the coaches that need to be fired, in my personal opinion, because he co-signed this and he thought he was a mad scientist, and he's not looking like a mad scientist. He should have been in the draft rooms. He should have been in the scouting meetings. He should have been 1,000,005 places to discourage them from re-signing Danny Dimes, Danny Jones, or Danny, whatever his nickname is at this point. The reason I'm saying that is Brian Daboll needs to be fired from the New York Giants. Again, I gave you chapter, book, and verse of the last 35, almost 40 years of their success. The Giants will get you talent. The Giants they have fan support. They're in one of the large, if not the largest market in America. And now they're dealing with substandard play. You shouldn't be doing this. You were brought here to fix this guy. You fixed him for a year. There's no way you shouldn't have been on Hard Knocks that I watched over the summer. And them saying that they're not going to sign him. You should have said no. They only have one more year on Daniel Jones's contract, and we need to be looking for a bridge guy so we can get rid of him. And then that's it. Case closed. You didn't do that. It should cost you your job. You're the head coach. You're the head man. You're the eyes in the sky. You have all 22 film. You have coaches, other coaches film. You have film. That's your job to ensure. And you're a quarterback guru. You're the quarterback whisperer. It's your fault. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go. All they need to do is tell you, get your coat, get your hat. I got your coat. And all you find in there, see that.
Sit your ass down.
That you the first out the door, Brian Daboll. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people are looking at this man, Deshaun Watson, and saying he stinks now. He stinks now. Oh man, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him is coaches are coaching systems. Coaches are seeing things the way they want them to go. They're not coaching players. And when you're not coaching the player, you get the end result that the Cleveland Browns are getting. They have a stagnant offense. Some players are built to fit right into the cookie cutter position of the team, and then they execute. Other players, the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, the Warren Moons, and all the great quarterbacks, they have this impromptu thing in which they take over games. I'm looking at Brother Watson and seeing that's not what he's playing under. He is stiff as a board. He's looking like a deer in the headlights, and he's looking relatively confused. If that's the case, that's the coach's problem. That's not a Deshaun Watson problem. That's a coach's problem. Remember, not long ago, Dabo Sweeney, who's about to lose his job at this point, said Deshaun Watson is the Michael Jordan of quarterbacks. That means he can adapt to a lot of things. But if you don't put Michael Jordan in the advantageous for his talent situation, he immediately turns into Pete Myers. You cannot ask Michael Jordan to lead the league in assists and expect him to be Air Jordan. He'll be the assist leader and he'll look mediocre. And that's what's going on, in my opinion, with Deshaun Watson. He's not being able to maximize his ability. There's a ton of talent over there. They have offensive linemen. They have big-time receivers. They have solid running backs. And again, when in the hell did football players and football coaches stop running the ball when a quarterback looks when he does not look at ease? It is the easiest thing to do. When you block, you take a step back and then brace yourself. And you move left and you move right. When you block, that's pass blocking. When you are run blocking, you are running forward and engaging. Which one seems to be more advantageous for someone who's struggling? Having the 5 men in front of you knock people back, and then you can survey the field, or backing up and you just don't do it, and you don't know where the next hit is coming from. Micah Parsons, one man, Micah Parsons, 9 quarterback hurries. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that Deshaun didn't get it done. You can call it excuse making. You can call it whatever you like. But at the end of the day, he's not responsible for the protection in front of him. He's only responsible for the plays being executed. And if you know that your quarterback is struggling, it's like anything else. In basketball, if you know the shooters are struggling, you get him a wide open shot, or you get him a cut to the basket to get his confidence up, get him rolling, get him lathered up, and then he pulls up, hits that 22-foot shot, and he's on the roll, and he shoots you out the gym. If you have a quarterback who's struggling, who's not responding the way you want, run the football, give him the opportunity to balance things out, get into a rhythm, and bang, he's Deshaun Watson. People act as if they didn't see this at the end of the season before he got injured. I got my man Chris saying, I feel bad when looking at Deshaun. He is one of my favorites. One of my favorite quarterbacks. Exactly. He is one of my favorite QBs. And again, man, one of the things you notice, Chris, when you are a football player, there are certain things that you can and cannot do that you are and are not allowed to do. And it puts you in a box. At the quarterback position, if you're not allowed to audible, if you're not allowed to just be plays being called to make you comfortable, are you trying to make me something I am not? That's what a quarterback does. D Great is in the building. It's good to see you, sir. Always good to see you. Cowboy Nation in the building, Chicago Bear Nation in the building. It's always good to see you. But yeah, man, I personally believe Kevin Stefanski is a person who needs to be replaced. You need to put people in place who are coaching the players and not the systems. Again, if you missed the show from earlier, pull it up. Sorry again. She knows I'm talking to. Sorry again. But impromptu. Sorry, babe. What I want you to understand is this. If you're not coaching the player, you're doing an injustice to the team. You coach players, not systems. You don't put systems in play and say, hey, fit this in, because I may be a round peg and that may be a square hole, and you might even force me into it, but you're not going to maximize my ability. Again, as I stated earlier, you don't ask Barry Sanders to block. You don't ask Walter Payton to play like Earl Campbell. You don't ask Brett Favre to be Joe Montana. You let him be who he is. Or you do like Mike Holmgren say, I can't coach this dude, I'm out. And that's how we do this. You don't put round pegs into square holes. And that seems to be the problem when it comes to black quarterbacks. Eberflus here in Chicago. Eberflus is a problem as well. He and a lot of other coaches throughout the National Football League, I think they have problems with coaching ethnic quarterbacks, whether it be Mark Sanchez or Caleb Williams and everybody in between. Everybody does not operate in the same fashion. There's certain things, squaring up, making a base, resetting your base when you scramble. When you scramble, roll to the right, reset your base. load up, throw the ball so you can be as accurate as humanly possible. Some of us, Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis, he don't need to set. This dude got a hollister on his arm. He can throw a ball 75, 80 yards on the fly. I get it. But in most cases, there are certain fundamentals that you need to be a successful football player. And those will help you, not deter you from success. They will enhance your success. I get it. But you do have instances in which you cannot coach Chris the same way you coach the greatest, or the same way you coach HRAP. It does not work that way. And all the successful coaches, you see it that way. If you don't, again, if you disagree, let me know. I'll let you talk to me. Let me hear what you got to say. But this is what I want you to understand. For the last 20, 25 years, you heard that Bill Belichick is a stick in the mud. He's no fun. He's robotic. What's going on in New England? And now that he's on TV on a regular basis, you are truly enjoying the personality of said Bill Belichick, because Belichick can relate to the people he's coaching. He is a leader of men. Everybody is not that. So what we need to do is get some of these coaches out of the way. And Dave Cobos, that's another dude. He needs to go. Too many coaches. Look, the successful coaches coach players. I'm going to say it until the cows come home. And these horrible coaches coach systems because they think they've outsmarted the game. It is one man versus another man, getting that man to do what he wants him to do. If you're an offensive lineman, I want you to go left, but you really want to go right. So I'm going to push you left. And I'm going to finagle my way into making you go left. If you're a running back, I want you to run at me flat foot so I can move and you can dive and I can go. If you're a wide receiver, I want to make you go left, I'm going to go right, and it's a blind throw because the ball is coming by the time I'm turning already. By the time I look at the ball, it's already in my hand. This is what football will always be. So if you're not getting that, maybe it's you and not the. It's like I say, it's either the X's and the O's or it's the Willies and the Joes. I'm starting to believe it's the X's and it is the X's and the O's and not the Willies and the Joes, because when these Willies and said Joes go to other teams, they end up doing their thing. I'm coming too close to the end of the program, and guess what? It's Monday Night Pick'em time. If anybody got anything they want to add to the show, ask me to drop the link. I'll let you come in, talk a little. Otherwise, I'm almost done. It is Monday night. Monday Night Football just come on. It's the Buffalo Bills. Next week is the Buffalo Bills versus the Dolphins. You have Josh Allen, who is prone to turnovers. He is a wildly big, strong ox of a man. He looked pretty good for half the game. Again, when they allow Josh to do his thing, he looks better than I think he is. I think he's a bit overrated, but that's neither here nor there. I see them going into Miami in September, as hot as it is, and getting a bedrubbing. Miami has great players on every level, so I don't anticipate them doing anything. Give me the Miami Dolphins on this. The Vikings versus the 49ers. We saw for the 49ers. The 49ers have an excellent GM in John Lynch. They have an excellent scouting department. They also have a very good Kyle Shanahan at the helm. One of the better coaches, because you know what he does? He allows your position coach to coach you, and he coaches him. Not intervening, not interjecting. He will coach him. So that's why I have Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers giving the Minnesota Vikings a bedrubbing. There's too much chaos around that team. They argue with the quarterback. They argue with the running back. No one wants to get paid. One of the reasons my man Jaden didn't look good. Hey, hopefully you do better than I think you are. But at this point, I do believe the Vikings will get skunked by the San Francisco 49ers. Might put a little change on. But then you have my favorite coach versus one of the teams that used to be a rival of the team that I root for. That is the Seattle Seahawks versus Gerard Mayo, former Belichick disciple, former Belichick player turned head coach, Gerard Mayo, and the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are a weird duck. They kept losing all year last year because they didn't have a consistent quarterback. They brought one of their mainstays back, which is Jacoby Brissett. It's easy to go. that dude. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for somebody to throw 5,000 yards, he's not that guy. If you're looking for somebody to take over the ball game, he might be that guy. But running to win, throwing to score will always be the formula for successful football. It's not going to change. You can huff and puff and growl and spit, talk crip, and talk ish and throw up signs like a crip. It's going to be the same thing. Me imposing my will on you as a secondary football player, and you're not going to run where I want you to run, and then they're going to throw the ball back blind, and the ball going to foul right behind me and end up on the floor. Mark my words. The Chicago Bears, while they are looking extremely well, they are not trying to win. The next thing is the Seattle Seahawks and the Patriots. That's going to be an interesting game because I don't think the Patriots are as bad as we think they are. Seattle looks better than they did. They have a rookie coach, and we're going to see what happens. The next game in front of us are the Giants versus the Commanders. I suck versus suck a lot. Who cares? That might be the who cares game of the week, but I'm going with the Commanders because I just don't have a lot of faith in Daniel Jones and the New York Football Giants. Ooh, excuse me for that hiccup. Then we got the Panthers versus the Chargers. Young is discombobulated. The Chargers are looking like they're on their heel. And guess what? Young is looking like a real deal football player. So we're going with Young. Even though Young, I got to interaction with him. I'll tell you about it another time. Next thing up is the Saints versus the Pack. Look, Jordan Love is not hurt. I mean, he's hurt. He's not injured. He has a slight MCL sprain. He'll be day-to-day. If he comes back the way I think he will, Justin Fields is not going to be able to execute what he used to. They need him. Go for Bears. You're not maximizing his ability. We got the Carolina Panthers versus the Chargers. Give me the Chargers. The Panthers don't do a whole lot for me. You got the Colts versus the Packers. I just told y'all about Jan Richardson. He's going to make me he's going to hold me up after I hold him up. We're going to Richardson. The next team is the Colts. Excuse me. The next team is the Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've seen Jacksonville from afar on the History Channel, things of that nature. I want absolutely nothing to do with them. Give them their money, and you need to win. You don't need to go. You need to win. With that being said, the Tennessee Titans will beat the hell out of the Jets. They come in upset. Look, the quarterback's shaky, but I would take that quarterback over the one the Giants have. It's shaky. I'm out. Burn it down. I mean, how about this? We got the Jets and the Titans. We have the Bucks, the Buccaneers versus the Lions. We have the Bengals versus the Chiefs, the Steelers versus the Denver Broncos, the Bengals versus the Titans, and the Eagles versus the Dallas Heating and Air Conditioning Company. Excuse me. Like I was saying earlier, you never know what you're in store for. And it looks as if these people are dragging their feet. I'm not putting a lot of faith in them. The last few games, the Buccaneers versus Lions, I'm going with the Bucks. The Raiders versus the Ravens, easy game for the Ravens. The Rams versus Arizona, I'm going with the Rams. The Bengals versus the Chiefs, I'm going with the Chiefs. The Steelers versus the Denver Broncos, I'm going with the Steelers. The Bears versus the Titans, and the Falcons versus the Eagles, Birds and Titans. Oh my. That ends the episode this evening. I'm super tired, offended. My number one supporter, I wasn't thinking. I was just rushing and doing impromptu. Forgive me. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's your man, H-Rap B. This is Hold My Beer Sport. See y'all tomorrow, 6 p.m. for Build and Destroy, where the topic is going to be the truth, whether you like it or not. 2 fingers, 1 word.
Jesus. I mean, trust me, man.